Think about how you learned your native language. You didn't memorize grammar rules, you didn't study textbooks. You listened, you watched, you copied what you heard. You imitated the people around you. Then one day, you could speak. What if I told you that you can learn English the exact same way? Welcome to Talk, Learn, Teach, where we show you how to learn English like a native learner, not like a student. I'm James.
And I'm Emma. And honestly, this method changed everything for me. When I stopped trying to be perfect and started imitating native speakers, my English became so much better. Not just grammatically better, but naturally better.
That's what we're exploring today. How to use slow English and imitation techniques to build real fluency. The kind of English that sounds natural. The kind of English that comes from deep listening and smart copying.
So, if you've ever felt frustrated trying to memorize rules, or if you've spoken English and felt like it doesn't sound natural, this episode is for you. Please subscribe to Talk, Learn, Teach. We release new episodes every week about learning English and growing as a person.
And share this with a friend. Tell them about Talk, Learn, Teach, because learning together is always better than learning alone.
Now, before we dive in, I want to explain something important. The word copy might sound negative. People say, don't copy. But in language learning, copying is powerful.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that copying the way native speakers talk is how you learn to sound natural. It's not cheating, it's not lazy, it's the opposite. It's one of the smartest ways to learn.
So you're not copying a homework assignment from a classmate. You're copying the rhythm, the pronunciation, the intonation of someone who speaks English well.
Exactly. And the first requirement is slow English. You need to hear English that is clear and slow enough for your brain to process.
Why is slow English so important?
Because when you listen to fast English, your brain can't keep up. You miss the sounds, you miss the rhythm, you get frustrated. But when you listen to slow English, your brain can actually absorb it.
So you're not trying to understand fast native speech yet.
Right. You're building a foundation first. You're training your ears and your brain to recognize English sounds and patterns.
I love that. So the process is first listen to slow English, then copy what you hear. Is that right?
Yes, and through copying, something magical happens. Your mouth learns the shapes, your ears learn the sounds, your brain learns the patterns, all at the same time.
Let me ask you, when you were learning English, did you start with slow English?
No, I didn't. I started with fast movies and fast podcasts, and I understood almost nothing. I felt so discouraged.
What changed?
A teacher told me, stop fighting the language. Use slow English as a bridge. Once your ears are trained, fast English will become easy.
And did it work?
It worked perfectly. After 3 months of listening to slow English every day, I could understand fast English. It was like my ears had learned how to decode it.
3 months is not that long.
It's not. It's actually quite fast. But those 3 months were consistent. Every single day I listened to slow English. Every single day I copied what I heard.
So consistency is key.
Absolutely. Not intensity, consistency.
Now, I want to talk about what slow English actually means, because I think a lot of learners are confused about this. What's the difference between slow English and normal English?
Slow English means the speaker is talking deliberately slowly. They're not speaking in a way that sounds weird, they're just taking their time. They're enunciating clearly. They're leaving space between words.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Normal English might sound like this. I want to improve my English skills because I have a dream to travel around the world. That's fast. It's connected. The words blend together.
And slow English would be, I want to improve my English skills because I have a dream to travel around the world. Each word is clear. Each word stands alone. Your ears can catch it.
I see. So in slow English, you can actually hear where each word begins and ends.
Exactly. And this is crucial for beginners, because when you can hear each word, you can copy each word.
Now, let's talk about the copying technique itself. How do you actually do it?
So there are a few levels of copying. The first level is very simple. You listen to a sentence. You listen to the whole sentence. You get the sense of it. Then you repeat the entire sentence out loud.
And you're trying to match the voice, the pronunciation?
Yes, you're trying to sound like the speaker. Not perfectly, but genuinely trying to match their sound, their speed, their rhythm.
What's the second level?
The second level is word-by-word copying. You listen to the first word, you say it. Then you listen to the second word, you say it. You build up the sentence piece by piece.
Why would you do it that way?
Because it's slower. It gives your mouth more time to adjust to each sound. Your brain gets more time to process each word.
And the third level?
The third level is what I call shadow copying. You listen to the sentence, and while the speaker is still talking, you're repeating along with them, like they're your echo.
So you're speaking at the same time as the speaker?
Yes, but you're just slightly behind, like 1 or 2 words behind. So it feels like you're running to catch up.
Why is that helpful?
Because it trains your brain and your mouth to work together in real time. It's like interval training for your English. Your brain has to listen, process, and produce simultaneously.
That sounds challenging.
It is, but it's also the most powerful technique. Because when you can shadow copy, you can speak English naturally. You're not translating in your head, you're just producing.
Now, I want to ask you about something. When you're copying, are you supposed to understand every word?
No, this is important. Understanding is not the goal when you're copying. The goal is imitation. Your mouth, your ears, your rhythm. These are the goals.
But don't you need to understand what you're saying?
Eventually, yes, but not necessarily in the moment. Your brain will understand later. Right now, your mouth needs practice.
That's interesting, because most English classes focus on understanding first.
And that's why most English classes don't produce fluent speakers. Understanding is important, but it's not the same as fluency. Fluency comes from repetition and muscle memory.
Muscle memory.
Yes, your mouth develops muscle memory. Your brain develops neural pathways. These are formed through repetition, not through intellectual understanding.
So if I repeat, "The weather is beautiful today," 50 times, my mouth learns to say it fluently, even if I don't think about the grammar.
Exactly. And then one day you don't even have to think about it. You just say it naturally. That's fluency.
I want to shift gears a bit. What kind of slow English materials should someone use for this technique?
Great question. There are several options. Podcasts designed for English learners, YouTube channels that teach English specifically, audiobooks that are recorded slowly, even movies or shows designed for learners.
And how do you choose what to listen to?
Choose something that interests you. If you're interested, you'll stick with it. If you're bored, you'll quit.
What topics do you recommend?
Anything. Daily life topics, stories, news, history, science, whatever fascinates you. The topic doesn't matter as much as your interest.
And how long should each listening session be?
For beginners, I recommend starting with 5 to 10 minutes. One short lesson, one short story. That's enough. Why so short?
Because your brain gets tired when it's working hard. After 10 minutes of focused listening and copying, your brain needs a break.
So it's better to do 10 minutes every day than 1 hour once a week?
Absolutely. 1 hour once a week will not build the neural pathways you need, but 10 minutes every day will. Repetition and consistency matter more than duration.
Now, let's talk about the progression. You start with slow English and copying. What comes after?
Good question. After you've done slow English for a while, usually a month or two, you can start listening to slightly faster English. Not normal speed yet, but faster than very slow.
How much faster?
Maybe 75% speed. Or you find speakers who speak normally but clearly, people who don't have a strong accent.
And you keep copying?
Yes, you keep copying, but now the copying is harder because it's faster. This trains your brain and your mouth to speed up.
When are you ready for normal speed English?
Normally, after 3 to 4 months of consistent practice with slower materials, most learners can handle normal speed. Not understand everything, but handle it.
That's encouraging.
It is, because it means you don't need to wait years to understand normal English. 3 or 4 months of smart practice can change everything.
Now, I want to talk about something that trips up a lot of learners: embarrassment. People feel embarrassed to copy out loud.
Oh, this is a big one. A lot of people think it's silly to imitate someone. They think it's childish.
But it's not childish, right?
Not at all. Every native speaker learned this way. Every successful language learner learned this way. It's how humans learn language.
So you have to get over the embarrassment?
Yes, and here's how. Do it alone. In your room, in your car, in the bathroom, anywhere where you feel safe to make mistakes.
The bathroom?
Yes, the bathroom is actually perfect. The acoustics are great, you can hear your own voice well, and you feel hidden.
So the first rule is do it in private.
Yes, build your confidence in private. Once you feel confident, you can practice with a partner or in a group.
What if you live with other people and you don't have a private space?
You can still do it. Put on headphones, record yourself on your phone, go for a walk and listen and copy as you walk. There are always options.
Now, I want to ask you about recording yourself. Should someone record themselves while they're copying?
Yes, I highly recommend it. When you listen to yourself, you hear your mistakes clearly. You hear what you need to improve.
What's the process?
Simple. Record yourself copying a sentence, listen back, notice what's different from the original speaker, then copy again, record again, compare again.
So you're using your own voice as feedback.
Exactly. And it's very effective feedback because it's coming from you.
Now, let's talk about vocabulary. When you're copying, you're not focused on understanding, but what about learning new words?
Good question. You will learn new words, but you learn them indirectly. As you repeat the same sentences, your brain starts to associate sounds with meanings.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you keep hearing, "I'm looking forward to the weekend." You don't study what this means, but after you hear it 20 times, your brain knows. You know that looking forward to means you want something to happen.
So the meaning comes through repetition.
Yes, which is actually how native children learn. They don't study vocabulary. They hear words repeated in context, and they learn.
That's brilliant. Now, I want to talk about one more thing. What if someone is copying and they realize they're making a lot of mistakes?
That's normal. Mistakes are part of learning. You're not supposed to be perfect.
Should they correct themselves immediately?
Not necessarily. If you stop to correct every mistake, you break the flow. The copying becomes choppy. It becomes less natural.
So what's the right approach?
Keep going. Finish the sentence or the thought. Then, if you want, listen again and try to copy more accurately. But don't stop in the middle to fix every small mistake.
Because the goal is to build fluency and confidence, not perfection.
Exactly. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Fluency and confidence are the real goals.
Now, I want to ask you something personal. In your own learning journey, what was the biggest breakthrough you had with this method?
Oh, there was one moment that stands out. I had been copying English for about 2 months, and I was watching a movie, not a learner movie, a real movie for native speakers.
And what happened?
There was a scene where 2 people were having a casual conversation.
And you understood it?
Not every word, but I understood the conversation. I understood the emotion. I understood the joke.
How did that feel?
It felt magical because I hadn't studied that specific conversation. I hadn't learned those specific words, but my ears had learned to process English. My brain could decode it.
And you realized the method was working.
Yes, and from that moment on, I knew that copying slow English was the right path. I kept going, and my English improved exponentially.
Exponentially?
Yes, because once your ears and your mouth are trained, progress accelerates. You understand more, you speak more confidently, you're more willing to take risks with English.
So there's a tipping point?
There is, and it usually happens around the 3 to 4 month mark if you're consistent. After that, growth becomes visible and rapid.
That's encouraging. So someone listening now, if they start today with slow English and copying, they could see real progress in 3 months.
Absolutely, real, meaningful progress. Not fluency yet, but definitely noticeable improvement.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to ask you about motivation. Copying the same sentences over and over can feel monotonous. How do you stay motivated?
That's real. It can feel repetitive. But here's what I did. I chose content that I truly loved. I listened to stories I wanted to hear. I copied dialogues from movies I wanted to watch.
So the content itself was the motivation.
Yes, and I tracked my progress. I recorded myself copying the same passage in week 1, then in week 4. The difference was obvious. That was motivating.
What else?
I also celebrated small wins. Oh, I can now say that sentence clearly. Or I understood that word without looking it up. These small victories kept me going.
Because you were seeing concrete evidence that the method works.
Exactly. And once you see it works, motivation is no longer an issue. You just keep going.
Final question. Is there anyone who should not use this copying method?
No, everyone can benefit from it. Whether you're a beginner or advanced, whether you're shy or confident, this method works for everyone.
Because it's how humans naturally learn language.
Yes, it's the universal language learning principle. Listen, copy, repeat, improve.
Simple but powerful.
Exactly. And that's why we love this method.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this, Emma.
Thank you, James.
So, to everyone listening, here's what we want you to take away. English learning doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to involve textbooks and grammar rules.
You can learn by listening and copying, by training your ears and your mouth, by being consistent and patient.
Find slow English that interests you. Listen every day. Copy what you hear. Do this for 3 months.
I promise you, your English will transform.
So please subscribe to Talk, Learn, Teach. We have new episodes every week about learning English and becoming your best self.
And share this episode with someone you know who wants to improve their English, because this method works and everyone deserves to know about it.
In the comments, tell us what's your biggest challenge with learning English and what slow English material are you going to try first.
Share your thoughts with us because your experience might inspire someone else on their learning journey.
We read every comment, and every story matters.
This community is built on sharing and supporting each other.
So take action today. Find a slow English podcast, listen for 10 minutes, copy what you hear. That's it.
That one action today might be the beginning of your transformation.
Because that's how change happens. Not in giant leaps, but in consistent small steps.
So start today, not tomorrow, today.
I'm proud of you for taking your English seriously.
And we're here supporting you every step of the way.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening to Talk, Learn, Teach.
Bye, friends.